Welcome, fellow castigators. This week, I watched the new Doctor Who Christmas special, Joy to the World, written by Stephen Moffat as his 50th and final episode. Now, you don't have to watch it. You're welcome. The story begins with the Doctor appearing in different times and places to offer random people a ham and cheese toastie. We then meet Joy, a normal adult human female who is checking into a London hotel on Christmas Day. She quips that there's always a funny locked door in hotel rooms. I have personally never experienced a locked door in a hotel room, but it sounds scary. Joy proceeds to pathetically introduce herself to a fly, and then a Silurian in a suit enters through the aforementioned locked door. He tells Joy, "The star seed will bloom, and the flesh will rise," which is just about the naughtiest pickup line I've heard on this show. The episode backtracks a little and we see the Doctor arrive in the lobby of the lazily named Time Hotel, where he spots a man with a briefcase chained to his wrist. He suddenly decides to make it his business to find out what's in the suitcase, so he investigates the hotel. The Doctor meets Trevor, who explains that the locked doors in hotels are all space-time gateways to the Time Hotel, so that guests can visit whatever time or place they would like. I feel like in a universe where you can step on a butterfly and become a butterfly person, it would be a huge liability to have so many people exploring the past. It's also a detriment to the uniqueness of the show's protagonist to have so many active time travelers. I know that there are other time travelers in the show like the Daleks, River Song, or Captain Jack Harkness, but the only race meant to consistently have time travel abilities are the Time Lords, who don't use that power very often. Imagine if Marty McFly went to the future and it was full of people driving DeLoreans. Anyway, the Doctor orders the ham and cheese toastie with pumpkin latte and runs around the hotel pretending to be room service. Meanwhile, the briefcase man goes to the hotel bar and switches bodies with the bartender. The new briefcase bartender switches with Trevor and dies, then Trevor switches with the Silurian hotel manager and dies.
Hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato, hot potato.
The Doctor and the Silurian enter Joy's room, where she predictably takes the case. The Doctor cries as the Silurian dies.
Cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti, cold spaghetti.
Up to this point, the briefcase has been pursuing people of increasing authority, so I'm not sure why it's chosen Joy. Next, Joy comes on to the Doctor by saying, "The star seed will bloom and the flesh will rise," but the Doctor says that the briefcase is mansplaining to her, which I thought required condescension, but whatever. The Doctor opens the case and discovers a glowing orb within. The case announces that Joy will die unless the right code is entered. A Doctor from the future enters to save Joy and takes her with him. Before he leaves, the past Doctor berates himself for always being alone. The Doctor doesn't know what he needs to do to get the code, so he gets himself employed by the London hotel manager Anita, instead of trying to find who made the briefcase. He spends a year doing menial labor and playing board games with Anita once a week. The Doctor arbitrarily decides it's time to go, and shares a tearful goodbye with Anita. He uses a door in a New York hotel room to return to the Time Hotel. The Doctor then grabs Joy from the past and explains that the code came from nowhere. He just remembers himself saying it, which of course causes the bootstrap paradox. However, the Doctor explains that the doors are somehow paradox-proof, and he never addresses it again. So not only was all that business with Anita a complete waste of time, but the writer chooses to never solve the problem he created. This whole past season has really felt like they no longer care about the science aspect of the show. Sure, Doctor Who has had to stretch the suspension of disbelief a few times, but it's now reached Bill and Ted levels of carelessness. I hope that next season they try a little harder and have one thing that makes sense. That would be superb. Anywho, the Doctor says that he's worked out that the briefcase is for the purpose of manufacturing a star. Apparently, stars take a long time to gestate, so whoever made the star seed whatever that is exactly, is sending it back in time so that it will be ready in the future to be used as a source of energy. I wonder why the company chose to send it back in time through such stupid and convoluted means. The Doctor and Joy ride a strangely long elevator where the Doctor cruelly tells her that she's pathetic for staying at a hotel alone on Christmas. Joy becomes angry and breaks through the hypnosis, which I feel like is something Moffat writes a lot. She reveals that her mother died on Christmas, and because of hospital rules during the pandemic, Joy had to say goodbye through an iPad. Joy says she feels stupid for listening to the same people who partied during that time and generally ignored the arbitrary rules. I have to say, I'm genuinely surprised by the mature take on this subject. I'm not sure it belongs in my escapism TV show, but I have to commend it for not being cringeworthy, out of touch, or selfish take like all the other political commentary on this show. Points to Moffat for a legitimate complaint in modern Doctor Who. Next, the Doctor uses a sonic screwdriver on the briefcase and it emits a hologram of the evil corporation Villain Guard from Stephen Moffat's last episode, Boom. Not very smart of them. A dinosaur shows up and eats the briefcase while the Doctor and Joy escape through the back door. Man, Moffat really loves his dinos. The Doctor tracks the case to room 43, which leads to a cave where the briefcase has been enshrined for some time. He steals some rope from Everest, ties it around the stone shrine, and then hooks the rope to the Orient Express's train tracks. There's a hilarious jump cut of the Doctor looking at the tracks to a shot of him on top of the train. As Joy pep talks the Star Juice, the Doctor meets a woman on the train who is strangely proud of being a lesbian in 1962. When the Doctor returns to the shrine, he finds that the case is empty, and Joy is on the top of the hill, having consumed the star seed. Joy tells the Doctor to find a friend, like Donna at the end of a Christmas special, and then she lifts into the air, becoming a star, like Astrid at the end of a Christmas special. The Doctor cries, and then there's a montage of Ruby under her terrible new haircut seeing the star, Anita getting hired by the Time Hotel, and Joy's mom dying and becoming one with the star. Finally, the Doctor realizes that Joy has become the Star of Bethlehem, and it ends. You're probably asking, that's it? And yeah, that's all there is. The Doctor goes to a hotel, wastes time with Anita, Joy eats a star, and then it's over. Not exactly full of twists and turns, this one. It's a shame that Stephen Moffat wasted his last script to write something so procedural and derivative. Everything in it is either something we've seen on the show before or just something easily predictable. If you couldn't tell what was going to happen from the title alone, then you deserve to be slathered in star juice during Joy's lunchtime. It's also a shame because I've seen Derry Girl several times through now, and I don't mind the idea of Nicola Coughlan as a companion. Unfortunately, Moffat doesn't give her anything to do except panic a lot when she's not being possessed by the briefcase. We never really get to know who she is, which makes it really hard to care when she turns into a flying ball of gas. The same goes for Anita, who is wasted by being the Doctor's personal question machine, and then we're meant to feel something when he asks to leave her. Although I will say it was somehow more effective than when Ruby left. The episode also follows the Russell T Davies shtick of the Doctor never doing anything but crying and leaving. He gets the code from convenience, he figures out the company from convenience, and then in the end his efforts didn't make any bit of difference. If he had minded his own business, the briefcase would have made it back in time with the hotel manager and become a star anyway. As far as Christmas specials go, it rates pretty low. Other than the ending, it's not very Christmassy. Maybe only slightly more Christmassy than End of Time, and slightly less Christmassy than The Return of Dr. Mysterio. Quality-wise, it ranks even lower. It's less cringy than Church on Ruby Road, but not as good as The Doctor, the Widow, and the Wardrobe, which ranks low despite being very good, because Doctor Who Christmas specials are generally winners. If you want to count the Whittaker New Year's specials, then Joy to the World definitely ranks above those just for coherence alone. In short, this last Stephen Moffat episode is not the worst, but not even close to the best. It's just average streaming-era television slop. Not even a shadow of the brilliance that Doctor Who once was. Before I go, I'd like to put in a word about the new colorization of the second Doctor's regeneration story, The War Games. This time, the colorization is thankfully 90 minutes instead of the Daleks' unnecessarily brisk 75-minute runtime. The music, minus the annoying insert of the Master's theme, is much less obtrusive this time, which was a big problem with the Daleks. I understand they're trying to keep people's attention, but it's painfully anachronistic and often blasts over important dialogue. What The War Games makes up with music, it lacks with editing and an absolutely absurd amount of CGI establishing shots. I know that time is money with these things, but it's a real detriment to character development, pacing, and coherence to have everything moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour. I hope next time they finally pick a shorter story so that the presentation can actually breathe. Unfortunately, though, I don't think that would help much, as all the additions to the War Games makes it feel as if the producers are afraid that the average viewer will lose interest if they don't keep things amped up to 11. Ironically, none of those additions will mean anything if you make the story worse in the process. If they want these colorizations to actually be lauded by fans, then they have to accept the fact that this is a 60-year-old television show, and there isn't much you can do to improve it. I mean, if you're gonna colorize the War Games, just colorize the War Games. Don't chop it up and add a litany of special effects that will just serve as a big distraction. Why did they have to add a bunch of cheap production photo shoots to the trial scene? It's just ridiculous. That being said, the colorization is quite stunning and satisfying to watch. The new regeneration scene is also very impressive and gives fans much needed closure. In short, The War Games in color is great if you've seen the original already, but it would make for a confusing and terrible first watch. Thanks for listening.